Welcome to today's explainer, the 3-day wall, moving beyond temporary motivation. We're jumping right into a universal frustration today. You know the drill, right? You start a new goal, you're totally fired up, and then, bam, you completely lose steam just a few days later. Well, we're going to figure out how to move beyond that temporary hype and actually make things stick. Let's kick this off with a question you've probably asked yourself a million times when a new habit just crumbles. Why do you always quit? Seriously, you start out with the absolute best intentions to, say, become a 5 a.m. gym person or finally learn Spanish, and then you just stop. Sound familiar? It's incredibly common, but the answer absolutely isn't that you lack discipline or have some kind of character flaw.
The problem, the 3-day wall. To really get this, we have to look at a hidden psychological roadblock. It's this invisible barrier that completely kills your motivation early on. Spotting it is your very first step to breaking that cycle of quitting.
Just think about the massive contrasts in your mindset here. Day 1, feeling unstoppable, versus Day 3, feeling exhausted. On Day 1, you're ready to conquer the world. Fast forward a mere 48 hours, and you're completely drained, wondering why those dumbbells suddenly feel like they weigh 1,000 pounds. So what actually happens in that short little window?
Which brings us to the agitation, the dopamine drop. The culprit is quite literally biology. It all comes down to this biological drop, which reveals the hidden brain patterns that totally sabotage our progress.
Here's the hard truth, guys. Motivation is emotional, and emotions simply do not last. They are incredibly volatile. We kind of treat motivation like this endless magical fuel source, but if you're relying purely on how you feel to get things done, you're gonna stall out, every single time.
When you kick off something new, your brain floods you with a massive hit of dopamine. It's fresh, it's super exciting. But notice how fast that fades. That Day 1 high just plummets straight down to the Day 3 low of cold, hard reality. The honeymoon phase ends fast, and that is exactly where most people just throw their hands up and quit.
30%. That sudden biological crash is exactly why the progress bar on our biggest, most important goals so stubbornly stalls out at just 30%. The dopamine vanishes, the thrill is completely gone, and we just stop moving forward.
So what's the fix? The solution? Systems over motivation. Let's completely take the guilt out of this equation. The problem is not your willpower. It's your reliance on motivation over structure. The true fix isn't hyping yourself up more, it's prioritizing your system. What you need is a system, which is a reliable structure that keeps you consistent even when emotional motivation fades. It's basically a framework that does all the heavy lifting for you on those bad days when the dopamine is totally gone and you absolutely do not want to do the work.
So let's talk about building frictionless habits. Now that we know emotions are a terrible long-term fuel source, how do we actually go about building these resilient, frictionless systems?
There are 2 crucial, super actionable steps you can take right now. Step 1, start incredibly small. And step 2, ruthlessly remove all friction. Let's break that down.
Instead of a massive, intimidating goal like, I'll work out for an hour, which, let's be real, requires a ton of hype to even start, shrink it. Start with just 10 minutes. You want to make it so remarkably easy that deciding to skip it actually feels more ridiculous than just tying your shoes and doing it.
You also have to aggressively remove friction by setting up your environment ahead of time. Keep that book right next to your bed so you literally bump into it. Prepare your fitness clothes beforehand so they're staring right at you. You're basically designing a world that drags you across the finish line on autopilot.
Finally, the identity shift. Let's dive into the absolute most important piece of the puzzle. This right here is the psychological glue that holds your entire system together.
We've got to ditch those weak, desire-based statements. Look at the difference between I want to work out versus I'm someone who doesn't skip. Just saying you want to do something leaves the back door wide open for failure on a bad day. You need a powerful, identity-based truth instead.
I'm someone who doesn't skip. You've got to internalize this phrase completely. Because when you fundamentally shift how you see yourself, you stop negotiating with your brain every single morning. It's no longer a chore. You're just acting in alignment with who you are.
Build systems, not just motivation. If you are tired of starting over time and time again, this is your ultimate takeaway. Stop chasing that fleeting wave of excitement because the science proves it simply won't carry you past Day 3.
Will you rely on a dopamine spike tomorrow, or will you build an unbreakable system today? I'm leaving you with that final, provocative thought to chew on as you tackle your next big goal. The choice is entirely yours. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Start small, crush that friction, and I'll catch you next time.